Fuck. We're all perfectly in sync right now. We're like harmonious 80s businessmen doing coke. This is synergy. Hi, welcome to the
Bomb Squad
podcast. I'm Austin Zwiebelman.
I'm Tanner Richard Kraft.
I'm Rein Conversey.
And today we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman 1984, the newest Wonder Woman movie, directed by Patty Jenkins. Tanner and Rein, how'd you feel about Ready Player Wonder Woman 1984?
So Rein and I saw this in theaters on Christmas. I don't know about him, but I hadn't really looked up what the public reaction was until after I saw the movie.
I haven't either.
So
I did not actually. I was going in completely blind on that front.
I went in with zero expectations, so I watched it and I walked out of the theater like, "Yep, that was one of the best superhero movies ever made."
Really?
And I turned to my friend Rein. And I was like, "How do you feel about it?"
I said so at the time. I said, I think I call it like the best superhero movie of what? How did I word it? Like the best like sort of classic superhero movie in the sense of Man, I should have made notes. I'm speaking from the heart, so it's going to be all like gross and ugly. But like this movie. No, just kidding. Mostly. But like in the sense of just like a character that a superhero who's just focused on saving people and focused on just helping people and trying to be the best person they can be. I feel like just like that, the classic ideal of a superhero. And I felt like this movie was one of the best renditions of that when I was walking out of the theater. And yeah, that was like my initial gut reaction after watching it.
We both fundamentally agreed, though, that it was one of the best.
Yes.
That's interesting you mentioned like a classic superhero movie like Superman as a Boy Scout, because one of the screenplay writers, Geoff Johns, he actually, when he came out to Los Angeles to live the screenwriter life and do cocaine, one of his first ins in the town was Richard Donner, the guy who did the old Superman movies.
Yo!
That's crazy.
Yeah, and he's a huge like classic comic book dork. So, like, he didn't get his start, like, you know, huffing rails and doing DC movies. He really likes to do stuff associated with, like, closer to the comic books, video games. He's more from that background of not just trying to imitate what Nolan did with the Batman trilogy all the time in some darker or lighter capacity. So that might have been where some of that influence came from, as this being a more vanilla superhero movies as they used to be before the race to the bottom of the pit. What's really interesting, because I think a lot of people got to see Tanner sort of bombarding social media after seeing this as the one brave man taking a stand for Wonder Woman 1984. And I'm glad, like a good friend, you followed him here, because otherwise I wouldn't believe that there were two people on the planet who liked Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh no, you're one of the people that
It's the ultimate reveal, Tanner.
Damn it. This explains why you were very cagey about your opinion before this.
This
No.
is perfect.
Listen, I have little thin spectacles on. I have a tweed sweater that I got just for this. I've been watching Good Will Hunting on loop today because I am your therapist now. I am going to get to the bottom of why you like this movie so much. Tell me about when you were a child. Did you watch the Wonder Woman on TV?
The Linda Carter show?
Yes.
I saw a few episodes, but I wouldn't really say I watched it. I think I watched the Hulk show more as a kid.
That's same.
Actually, I got to do a second mask off. This is Mission Impossible, but like recursive. I actually like this movie just fine. I think it's interesting.
Yes!
Because when I watched this in my house so that I could tweet things at Tanner about how I was sad near the end, I also didn't catch up with the critics. I wanted to let this sit in my head for a day, and I really didn't mind this that much. Meanwhile, I've gone on to listen to like Slate kind of give it a positive review. Chapo Trap House completely eviscerated this thing in an episode called Girls on Film. I'd recommend anyone listen to that if you want it like analyzed from a weird Marxist perspective. But I cannot ignore the fact that the first time I watched this, while I thought it was a little bit long, it's a very unique superhero movie and very entertaining for, you know, when it came out in the pandemic. We also got to admit, we're in kind of a content drought right now. You know?
Yeah.
This is our first superhero movie since fucking. I want to say Birds of Prey, but technically, whatever that weird Vin Diesel movie was, I think. But
Oh yeah, that was technically a comic character.
Yeah, Bloodshot.
Yeah.
He was from, I think, the Dark Horse comics or some shit.
I think Image. I'm pretty sure.
Thank you. I also wanted to know, just thinking about this, was it cooler because you got to see it in a theater? How long had it been since you'd
Yes.
seen a movie in a theater?
I've decided that the one risk I'm really willing to really take during the pandemic is going to the movie theater. So I had been to the theaters a few times prior to this. I saw Tenet, The New Mutants, but the last time I was in the theater was in October when I saw The War with Grandpa in theaters because I was just desperate to watch anything in a movie theater.
Oh, weren't you in a video with Rein recently talking about how good The War with Grandpa was?
I think me and Joe held up the War of Grandpa DVDs in the family video.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was better than it had any right to be.
Tara, how would you have felt if you got COVID from watching War with Grandpa, and then you had to tell people how you got COVID?
Yeah,
was that really
Ethan
worth
makes
it?
fun of me for that. I mean, I didn't get it.
Wonder Woman 1 dared to ask, was World War I worth it? And Rein on the podcast asks, was the War with Grandpa worth it? You know,
It's a
I had the experience when I was watching Tenet, because that's like the only movie I've seen during the entirety of since the pandemic began. And I walked out of there like there was fucking lightning in my veins. I was levitating 6 feet off the ground. I looked like Kanye West in the middle of a concert. And I was kind of trying to prescribe your elation with this movie to maybe having not seen a movie in a theater in the while. But I'd say you saw it close enough to October. You just seen The War with Grandpa, the Oscar-winning film. So it couldn't have been that. You really just inherently like Wonder Woman 1984.
I think it's that good. Yes.
All right. Well,
and I have plenty of reasons why that we'll eventually get into.
Yeah, let's crack this thing open like a fucking egg. Let's do this. Okay, so the full title of the movie is Wondrous Woman 1984, Year of the Rat. And it's Gal Gadot's official penance for the Imagine video that she put us through. Stories by Patty Jenkins and Geoff Johns. Screenplay is by Patty and Geoff and a guy named David Callahan. So I got a funny story about David, but can you two quickly tell me, just in like a sentence, what the moral of the movie is?
Don't lie. Be honest.
Truth, justice, and the American way.
What?
My guy. Hell yeah.
One of the screenplay guys, one of the three associated with this is David Callahan. And when he got to L.A., he wrote the Doom screenplay, right? The Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, Doom. But he also wrote this movie called Barrow. And Barrow got picked up by Sylvester Stallone and made into The Expendables, right? Well, later on, there was a Writers Guild of America West lawsuit where Sylvester Stallone was trying to, like, not have Callahan get as much fucking credit for that script. And Callahan ended up winning the lawsuit and getting paid like $200,000 or something because, you know, he wrote Barrow, which became The Expendables. And then, like, after that shit happened, I think a couple years, there were these emails that were hidden between Writers Guild members where fucking Callahan's just going off about how, like, Barrow was nothing like The Expendables and these dumbass idiots just fucking gave me more money. And that shit's hilarious because cheating does make you prosper sometimes. If you're one of the writers of this movie.
That's so beautifully ironic.
So let's, I don't know. How do you want to break this down? You want to break this down by plot? What stood out in the movie? What did you like about it?
God, it goes on and on that I feel like going through plot-wise might be simpler. I don't know.
I will say my first and foremost reason for liking it was just how, I'll also say that while I did come out of the theater loving it, my opinion has cooled down a bit. I still really like it, but it's more now I love it warts and all. And now those I do acknowledge those words a lot more than I did before, where I was like, "What? Everyone's crazy except me and Tanner apparently." But yeah, the I'd say the key thing I like about it the most would be just how like unabashedly wholesome it is, and just yeah. If I had to distill it down to
Uh,
one point,
I've doubled down, and
yeah,
I still think the haters are idiots. Because they are idiots. Um, Everyone just stopped listening. They're gonna listen to this podcast thinking it's another "let's tear into this movie" podcast, and they're just gonna be really confused when it's everyone being like, "Yeah, this is awesome." No, my feelings are actually quite similar to Rain's. Overall, it's a very magical, beautiful, wholesome movie. It feels real genuine and honest in a way that superhero movies aren't always. Like I love the MCU and I adore the MCU. I love MCU movies. Um, but what this has that a lot of those movies don't is just this unabashed sort of sense of honesty. Like it's not afraid to hide. Like MCU movies can sometimes feel like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, before I talk about MCU, I have to I got a big soy, a glass of soy right here, and I'm gonna put my
Good.
epic bacon mouse pad under my mouse real quick. Okay. When Doctor Strange came out, I remember critics were saying that the ending, how the conflict got resolved with Dormammu, the villain in that movie, was kind of what was it? Ingenious for the time because Doctor Strange had to use his brain to kind of get around this villain. He didn't just punch it super hard, which is a common complaint you get with Marvel movies. Whereas this found another category for defeating the final villain. Wonder Woman appealed to everyone's hearts. She used her heart to save the world.
To their humanity. Yeah, and that ruled. That might have been my favorite part of the movie. I've heard people being like, "I would have liked the movie more if Max Lord did." No, shut up. You're wrong. I'm not even gonna just say like I disagree. You're wrong. I don't want to say objectively wrong because opinions are subjective, but you're objectively wrong. But I loved the ending so much.
I picked something up while I was doing research for this. So you know how Pedro Pascal, Max Lord, his real name mentioned in the movie is Maxwell Lorenzano. Well,
oh yeah,
did you know that Pedro
Yeah.
Pascal's Spanish name is his Spanish name is Jose Balmaceda? So Pedro Pascal, Max Lord, Jose Balmaceda, Maxwell Lorenzano. I think they did that because of him. That's my fucking X-Files theme play here, conspiracy theory. But okay, this is something that was mentioned a lot. And we don't have to veer into this territory because it's so 2020. But I heard a lot of critics say that this was a very blatant Trump allegory.
All right, so I did have some nitpicks when I walked out of the theater. One of my biggest, like, I thought one of the most jarring decisions was how, like, watching the film, I think, like, through the costuming and through his environment, just through every way a film could communicate something, like, without just spelling it out, it was like visually telling us this guy is Trump, this guy is Trump. But and even to some extent through Pascal's performance, it even felt like that. But like when you get down to it, his character's like the core of his character is nothing like Trump, and he's he's actually this super like he's not really evil. He's just super callous with everything he's doing in the movie. I guess spoiler, but if we haven't already crossed that point, but yeah,
We've already crossed that point.
So I just don't I just thought it was a very odd decision to go that direction. I get like because he's more just like general facade of an 80s businessman, and Trump was 80s businessman, but still just it was a decision that did not sit well with me because like if you just read the script, you wouldn't really get the impression that this is Donald Trump because they're nothing alike. So I thought that was very odd, a very weird conflict of just stylistic conflict. So yeah, I'm now going to stop talking and let one of you guys start talking.
When I walked out of the theater and you brought that up, I was confused because I didn't get that impression at all. And then you pointed it out, and I was like, I guess. But apparently that was a very common opinion, was that he was Trump, but I just didn't get that impression.
Yeah, because
Personally, maybe it's because I'm somewhat familiar with the comic character as is, and that's how his character is. Aside from the more humane aspects, is kind of pretty down pat to the character in the comics. So maybe that's why I never got the impression. But no, I was just like, yep, that's Maxwell Lord, Pedro Pascal, aka the hottest man alive.
I actually, after watching this and then hearing what the critics had to say, I actually shipped my college degree back to my alma mater, and I now permanently wear overalls because I completely missed that it was supposed to be Donald Trump. And to add to that, because that's not enough of an offense for me to be wearing these stupid overalls, but I thought Stuart Milligan, the guy who plays Ronald Reagan in the movie, was Michael Shannon in a lot of makeup.
That's fair. That's
okay. If it makes
fair.
you feel any better, I was convinced it was Bill Hader in a lot of makeup for some reason. So you know, we both made mistakes.
That doesn't make any sense. Are you just like, well, Kristen Wiig's here, so
it was his eyes. I thought he had Bill Hader's eyes.
He was definitely a low rent actor. Austin just said
Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I was super stoked that they had him in another DC movie, not playing Zod. I was like, this is weird as fuck, and I like it. But
also, I think it was hilarious that that they call that his. I think they say the president by name. It's just like they use some random last name, even though it's obviously Reagan.
Yeah,
I remember when I looked it up after the fact that he was credited as God, what was he credited as?
It's just like some generic last name.
POTUS.
President.
It was POTUS. He's credited as POTUS, so they didn't commit to any name.
Lame.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not Sorry to Bother You, where the whole guy's last name is just like a bunch of empty dash marks. There was I did have kind of a unique experience watching this. Rein, did Tanner tell you that I hadn't seen the first Wonder Woman before I saw this one?
Oh no.
Okay.
That must be interesting.
It was pretty cool because I do now. I just saw Wonder Woman today, finally, to get ready for this, and I think that is kind of the right way to go, especially if you're gonna, eventually be made aware that lots of critics pan this movie, because Wonder Woman 1 was a completely different tone than this. It really tried to be something different than this did, and Wonder Woman 2 is a lot better if you haven't seen Wonder Woman 1. And one of the things that kind of hit me that I thought was fun hitting me with Wonder Woman 1984 instead of the original one was realizing that all the people in that opening sequence had to speak in a stupid Israeli accent because Gal Gadot is bad at acting. That hit me like a pound of fucking bricks. And I guess it might have done that in the first film too, but I was watching it happen it was... Yeah. Like, did either of you ever hear about that deleted scene from Terminator 2 where they try to explain why Arnold Schwarzenegger robot has that weird accent?
Oh, I'm thinking of the scene in the third one, I think, where...
I'm thinking of the scene in the third one where it's Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Texas accent.
Yeah.
They're like, howdy, I'm Sergeant General William Candy.
Yeah,
okay.
That's
obviously not what you're talking about.
No, I guess it might have been from that, but there was some kind of strange, like, retconning explanation why the robot has a fucking, Bavarian accent?
And, in that T3 scene, it's because one of the guys are like, that guy's accent is stupid, and some skinny dweeb who looks nothing like Arnold Schwarzenegger says, we will fix it, in Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice, and it's like, what the hell is going on? Why was this deleted? It would have been the best part of the movie.
I really like that they because it also reminds me of how they had to spend like $100 million getting Henry Cavill's mustache off his face. They had to give everyone in Themyscira an Israeli accent because Gal Gadot can't do a normal accent or a Midwestern kind of inoffensive whatever every person accent. They're just like, all right, all of you are Israeli. Robin Wright, you're Israeli now. Connie Nielsen, you're Israeli. Get over here, little kid. You're Israeli too. that really fucking hit me for being my first Wonder Woman. That seemed a little bit funny, and I also got to say I don't like Gal Gadot that much as an actor. It wasn't.
She's
She has limited range, but I think I don't know.
her very limited range. She has very limited range, but what little range she has really works well for this Wonder Woman, and I think that's more a testament to Patty Jenkins, because Wonder Woman in the other movies, I'm like, in Justice League, I'm like, what the fuck is this? In Batman v Superman, I'm like, all right, you had like 3 lines. I guess you did okay, but in her own movie, she really knocks it out of the park. But in everything else Wonder Woman's been in, I've been very lukewarm on it.
That's a great point, actually.
Yeah,
I really think Patty Jenkins is able to help craft this perfect character for this Wonder Woman that works perfectly within Gal Gadot's range.
You know what? Yeah, that's right. That actually works. I mean, it's good. She they fucking there's a behind the scenes featurette where they said they're about as close as family. Gal Gadot's family actually briefly appears in the movie. Apparently her kids were allowed to hang around on set. By the way, this is super fucking trippy because when I was younger, like, you ever looked at Patty Jenkins's feature filmography? It's such a head fuck, dude.
There's like a 14-year gap.
She did this amazing movie. When I was younger, I used to tell people, because I caught Monster on like Showtime when I was younger, and I didn't know what it was. Right. And that movie blew me away. It was like this really gritty lesbian movie where Charlize Theron gives like this transformative ass Daniel Day-Lewis tier performance. And I was like, oh man, I wonder what kind of crazy fucking art films this person's made. And then now it's like, she made 2 Wonder Woman movies. And it's like,
these are literally her first features since then. It's crazy.
She's a fucking powerhouse director, and she just like chilled out and did television and then graced us with 2 Wonder Woman movies in a row. So,
well, she almost did the second Thor movie.
What?
Oh yeah.
She was attached to direct Thor: The Dark World. I can't remember why she left. Let me see if I can find it.
I don't remember.
All I know is that it's part of the reason why Natalie Portman didn't come back for the 3rd one.
It was
pissed off about that.
It was studio notes. I'm pretty sure, more or less.
Marvel sometimes doesn't like it when you take their movies in a good direction. Like, they also weren't feeling having a good Ant-Man 1. Ant-Man 1, they didn't want it to be good. So when Edgar Wright was making it good, they threatened to take him out back and beat him with a fucking cricket mallet or something. And so he scuttled out of there. And
I think it was...
she left because, according to her,
right?
she couldn't do the story that Marvel wanted.
I was going to say, I think I remember hearing, like, she wanted more romance in the movie or something like that.
I think it's just code for Marvel's script sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Thor: The Dark World is one of the highest rated fucking Marvel movies. You take that shit back. Okay? I defend that Thor: The Dark World is better than Infinity War. It's better than The Dark Knight.
Please keep going.
Did you know that the costume designer, Lindsay Hemming, also did on this movie? Lindsay Hemming did the Dark Knight movies. Did you know this has the costume designer from the Dark Knight movies? And she's also a costume designer whose last name is Hemming.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
I will say,
perfect.
Before we get back on track, I will say, the Dark World probably has one of the better. It's probably one of the better shot MCU movies. I'll give it that.
Really?
You know,
I think
it sure looks like it was shot.
Oh, what should we get to now? I will say, let's get to a big elephant in the room about this movie. So when I first saw it, I did not. So on the topic of did Diana rape a guy? Let's get to that.
All right, we're just okay.
Yeah. There was a Mary Sue article about how the whole body swapping trope doesn't play as well as it did in the 80s, and that this is a rape story, and that consent is shoddy, which is really weird considering this is like a Me Too movie. Did you know that this was the first movie to sign off on the Producers Guild of America's new guidelines for like sexual harassment training on set. It was a huge thing. This is like a feminist production, and yet there was that oversight. It's kind of weird, right?
So
I found all the people comparing what happened in this movie to rape deeply offensive. I found it insulting, and I found it belittling.
It's just strange because it's a magical wishing rock, and I feel you could contort it. What happens to the body that he's in charge of for a while in a lot of ways, and I don't.
So
people are kind of going towards the worst possible case scenario. That, or maybe I'm not doing. I feel like I'm maybe inhabiting too much of Patty Jenkins's excuses for what she did. I honestly, when I left the movie, I didn't really think about it, which I guess is my bad.
So coming out of the theater, my it was my biggest issue. But if I'm being honest, I don't know. It was more my problem with it was more so just like a plot. Like it was just a movie that is running a little bit on the long side. It felt like it was just too much bang. Like it would just been way more efficient just to be like, oh, he's back. He came back to life instead of having this whole thing that just felt too elaborate.
Yeah, that was something that another person brought up. You could have just brought him back.
Yeah, jumping on what what Tanner was mentioning earlier, I will say that I don't know. So my thought on the whole is, did he get raped thing is like theoretically, if this is a real like event that happened in real life, like yeah, like if some ghost like possessed this guy and then the dead guy's girlfriend started sleeping with him while he's possessed, and yeah, that I feel like that's grounds for some sort of lawsuit, but I don't know, it like the situation's
a lawsuit. Your Honor, you can't prove my client was possessed.
But like,
listen, I don't know how to explain this, but they did the Get Out thing to me, and then they fucked on my body.
But the situation is so I don't know, the situation's so outlandish, I guess, that it wasn't it was just like the a dead guy ghost possessed him, and then Wonder Woman slept with him. It's like it's so outlandish. I didn't put too much thought into the whole like how it could have been read.
I gotta say, I probably got smoke screened by watching Kirsten Wiig beat up the Me Too guy in the park or by the side of the van, because this movie contains a nasty Me Too hobo that she just beats the shit out of, rightfully so. And my brain was tricked into this vegetative state where I said, Wonder Woman 1984 can do no wrong. Maybe that's a really good Trojan horse, is you just make a movie that just has like outright just really like progressive shit like that, I guess, that just kind of like blinds you to other weird shit that it's doing. I wonder if there are other movies that have done that to me. I feel bad now.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because I mean, I've seen a lot of people using that as like a criticism, like, because it feels like the movie's trying to say that like she's going too far and that she shouldn't be, like, this is to show you that, oh, she's evil now because she's going too aggressive on him. But which I don't disagree with. I think that is I don't know, that's another thing, is I feel like everything with Kristen Wiig is it's fine until it's not, and then when it's not, it's
okay. I thought the music cue, specifically in that scene, like Hans Zimmer needed to just dial it the fuck back and take a note from the Coen brothers, because that scene would have been a lot cooler with less music telling you it's bad, so that I could have, like, you know, it could be more like you projecting yourself onto the events, because I really, like, that the Me Too hobo was really aggressive for the whole movie. And it was kind of a relief that he was kind of, I don't know, getting his ass beat a little. And then the music was just like the same music you'd play if people were sailing into a storm that was going to kill them. And I was like, stop it. I kind of like this. Don't play the storm music. Don't play the fucking Jaws music over this.
Don't make me feel bad.
So
Hans Zimmer knew what he was doing.
I want to get back to the Wishing Rock. So I'm not sure if Austin will know what I'm talking about. I'm assuming Tanner will. So apparently, at one point, I heard a rumor that the Wishing Rock was supposed to be connected to Sandman, apparently, and this was going to be it was going to be a jumping off point for the Sandman, like a Sandman movie.
Sandman from Spider-Man 3?
No, it's the DC
Neil Gaiman's
Sandman. Really?
Apparently, I heard this rumor.
What?
But like, because apparently, like, this movie was shot like a while back, and even before, not counting COVID, they were sitting on this for a while apparently. So and then it sounds like there might have been like a lot of script stuff going on. Yeah, at one point, because I remember Jason Gordon-Levitt, I think it was, he was going to direct and star in a Sandman movie. I don't think that's still happening, but I guess they're going to try and leave it open to have him be in this universe. If maybe the rumor I heard was complete BS, or I just read it wrong or something. But yeah, just throwing that out there.
Well, I'm relieved that that's not happening, because now I don't need to see a trailer with Mr. Sandman by the Chordettes played all slow to sound like a Smashing Pumpkins song, as it slowly reveals more and more of that guy from 500 Days of Summer in superhero makeup.
Warner Brothers must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Warner Brothers is never going to be stopped. They're going to fucking kill the theater industry this year, and you're going to like it.
That's the best thing I can say about this movie is that they didn't ever have a serious cover of a pop song, of an old pop song.
Yeah, instead they just took music from the 2007 movie Sunshine for some reason.
Yeah.
But it was a good call, because that music really helped sell that scene.
Is that a Clint Mansell score? I'm not remembering right. I know it's a Danny Boyle film, but I forget if they work together. Sunshine is underrated. I love the score to Sunshine.
No, it's a great movie. It's who scored that? I'm looking it up. Cillian Murphy. No. John Murphy.
No, Eminem.
Yes.
Venom.
I got that venom.
So one thing I really loved about Wonder Woman 1984, although I will say it kind of has pacing issues if you're an impatient person. The first hour of this is a very different movie from the second hour of this. But it does something I really love in movies, where the stakes are kind of hazy for a while. You're not sure what kind of movie it's going to be. And then by the end, it is decided without your consent or without your, able to press on any brakes, that it's going to go batshit crazy up in your fucking face. And I absolutely love that.
It really does go from 1 to 100. I didn't even thought about that.
It's, again, with like Sorry to Bother You, that movie starts off with a guy applying to work at a telemarketing firm, and then ends with like massive riots and
he's a
horse people. And I felt the same kind of magic with this, because I was just like, okay, so her friend's kind of nice, but she wants to be like her. Maxwell Lord is trying to get rich, but not having an easy time at it. They all get to have one wish. This is going to be so fun and interesting. And then no, he becomes the wish master, and everyone's making wishes. And then that Anai Mitchell song about why do we build the wall happens. It's just, they slam the wall button on one scene.
It's funny you keep bringing up Sorry to Bother You, because that's another movie where I'm kind of against the grain on in terms of opinion. I didn't dislike it, mind you. I just wasn't as hot on it as everyone else was for some reason. Maybe I'm a bad socialist.
Yeah, you're a terrible Marxist if you don't like Sorry to Bother You. You actually don't have to...
Excuse you, I never claimed to be a Marxist.
You don't have to read theory or do direct action. It doesn't matter if you help people or analyze things through economic lenses. You just have to like the Boots Riley film Sorry to Bother You. We're actually very shallow over in Marxist land.
See, you say that like it's a joke, but I guarantee you that there is a shocking amount of people out there who would say that unironically.
I know that I'm going to spend most of my life apologizing for the way that other leftists act. I'm just kind of...
I already do that.
Yeah, I'm just cruising, dude. Like, I'm here to have a good time. Fucking,
All I feel is
fun
pain.
fact. So you know that guy that he goes to take the oil from? Mr. like, surprise, I sold my oil to the Saudis, bitch.
Adam Sandler.
Yes, Adam Sandler. His real name is...
Specifically, Uncut Gems Adam Sandler.
When Pedro Pascal goes to steal the oil from Uncut Gems Adam Sandler, and Howard Ratner is like, surprise, I fucked you. I loaned the oil out to the Saudis. And that actor is Amar Waked. Get this. The Egyptian government in like 2019 was like, hey, you're sentenced in Egypt to 9 years in jail because he was just...
What?
Yeah. because he was involved in like some protests in 2011, and they tried to pin a bunch of fake crimes on him, and he's just not having that shit. So he got sentenced to 9 years in jail for being cool. And so he's chilling in Spain and can't go home to Egypt because he was too cool to go back to that country for a while.
My hero.
Yeah, that dude's actually pretty fucking cool, and he sold his oil to the Saudis.
That guy should be Black Adam.
This is a reminder that Egypt is still a fucking mess.
I
kind of forgot about how fucked up things were there because we haven't invaded them for oil yet.
It's another interesting connection. I'm pretty sure the tribe that he's talking about in the movie wanting to regain independence. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be a Black Adam sort of like nod, like in the. That's what I assume. It would be very, very out of nowhere otherwise.
Oh,
that would make sense at least.
Because I don't think that's like a real people group or anything. I'm pretty sure that's just the fictional. Whenever they need whenever DC needs a fictional Middle Eastern people to do something.
I actually thought they were being boss as fuck for a second and referencing some real world history, just some like old Ottoman Empire beef. Like,
nope.
Oh, that's what I thought too. I'm gonna pretend that's what they're doing because that's way cooler.
I was checking the IMDb earlier and it wasn't banned in several parts of the Middle East, so I guess maybe I should just read more comic books. By the way, Rein, your knowledge of this shit is like way above and beyond most of I didn't know you knew shit about DC Comics.
Excuse you, I'm at the same level of him. I just hide it because I don't want people to make fun of me.
I go in and out of reading comics. I'm kind of a casual reader, more or less, but I just I don't know how I just absorb trivia really well, I guess.
I'm a casual reader because most comic books suck, actually.
That's true.
You have to wade through a lot of garbage to find anything decent. At least with Marvel and DC. Dark Horse, Image, those are more consistent, but with Marvel and DC, they release so much shit.
What?
Oh god. I could probably rant for 30 minutes to an hour about how they ruined Spider-Man for a decade, but I won't.
I think it's interesting that a couple of people who actually read comic books have an opinion that runs contra to a lot of the film critics I've heard talk about this movie, who I can guarantee you are like New York bake bread during quarantine bougie bullshit people.
They're the critic in Birdman.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm definitely more of a film person than a comic book person, but I will say for the case of me and Tanner, I assume with Tanner, like we're both people who can appreciate like the sort of corny Silver Age sort of era of comics and how this movie's very, very clearly aping that sort of that energy and that spirit, which I think is why we're able to, I guess, appreciate it more than most people.
It's the most beautiful tribute to Richard Donner's Superman I have ever seen. You can tell the people that made this movie loved those Superman movies.
The jet scene, which I thought like it's very silly that she just knows invisibility everywhere, but it's not a big deal. But,
I don't give a shit because it's awesome.
Yeah, so that whole scene where they're flying through the fireworks, I thought that was amazing. I thought that was like a I don't know. So mini rant. I don't understand. The most polarizing scene in the world, it seems like, is the that flying scene from Superman where he's flying with Lois Lane and she's bringing them home or whatever. That scene doesn't work for me at all. But I felt like this was like a way like better version of that scene.
I would agree. I think I remember Tim Sullivan, who was the third person in the theater with us that saw this movie, said his favorite part of the movie was my reaction to the invisible jet scene.
Aww.
I basically did all but start screaming in the theater. Like, I started going apeshit at how excited I was to finally see the invisible jet in the movie.
It was absolutely the rule of cool in effect. The logic can be put by the wayside as long as it's fucking cool. This is a movie after all.
It was cool as shit!
Yeah. And also, if I were to put on like the like nitpicky plot hole man hat, like they make it pretty clear like it's not like a ability she can like use in a fight or something, or use like almost she could barely ever use it, and it's super situational. It takes a long time. She can't use it for a long time in between. Man, that if there's anything I like, when you're saying words and then the words keep coming out and you're like, stop talking. Why do these words keep coming out? It gets worse and worse. That when I had to put on the plot hole nitpicky hat, that's when I started having that feeling.
It's because it's not who you are. It's not who any of us are. We all hate that shit.
I hope that nobody who went to Webster is a CinemaSins kid. I would really fucking hate that.
CinemaSins was something I used to like when they were like 5 minutes long.
Yes.
And now every video they make is like 25 minutes long. And I started to realize that some of their jokes weren't jokes.
Yeah.
Like the 33 seconds of logos complaint. Like, really? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
There
are it seems like there's at least in my experience, like your freshman year of film school, you're going to have quite a few of those people, but then by the first semester or two, most of them have either dropped out or gotten over that phase.
Yeah, it's kind of like a thing you go through in like your early 20s or late teens.
Yeah, it's like a high school thing more, at least in my experience, and it seems like a lot of people I know.
Acting like you're above it.
Well, you got to get tired because one day at a party, someone's going to roast you and compare you to that blonde kid from Polar Express, and you're never going to recover.
That's literally what I see every single one of those CinemaSin fan nerd people's ads. Every single time. Like, plot hole. First off, actual plot holes in movies are very, very rare. Because you have to fuck up really badly to have a legitimate plot hole. Plot holes are not, and this is what a lot of people call plot holes, it's not character development.
Yeah.
You notice that? Be like, well, that character did a thing they wouldn't have done at the beginning of the movie. Oh, wow, no shit? they developed as a person? My God.
They're changing. All of their actions aren't predetermined by what they did in the opening credits. Wow.
God.
Can we get to the action in this movie?
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. I think one way to frame this movie that would allow us to sort of go forward in a way that kind of does reflect what more people critically thought of this. The action is sparse, and you can point to a couple of places, and we should talk about those scenes.
All
so
right.
do you want to start with the mall scene, or do you want to go to like the Middle East scene?
Oh, man.
Mall scene rocks, man. I love that shit. Where she's like gliding around. I thought it was awesome.
Here, let me say, so like, of all the criticisms, most of them I understand, but like they aren't as big of a deal for me, or the positives just outweigh the negatives. But when it comes to the action, like I almost completely don't understand people's problems. Like, and admittedly, like I noticed my standards for good CG are a bit lower than most people, but other than like a handful of really awkward shots, like the really infamous one where she's running at the camera and super.
See, I thought that was intentional though.
I don't think so, but like everything else, I thought it looked fine, and even the actions. Okay, the cheetah scene, that's pretty mediocre, but that definitely felt like we had to have a physical threat, so throw.
We have to have the big third act fight.
Yeah, but they get that.
I thought it worked okay.
Yeah, it was whatever. It was not very interesting, but they get it out of the way quick. I felt like Patty Jenkins had that sort of attitude. Like, okay, let's just get this over with. Get past back to the good stuff. But anyway, yeah, the mall scene, Millie scene, mall scene. It was great. It was delightful. It was that was the point of the movie where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna like this because it was just so. I don't want to be a broken record, but it's just so corny and just so wholesome, and I loved it.
It's fun.
Yeah, it was great. And then the Millie scene, like everyone's saying, it looks awful, but I thought like the action, it was way more dynamic than say like that. Then like if you think the action in this is shit, you must think the action in like any of the MCU movies are bad. Like I think it's significantly like there's far more personality, and the way she like is able to use her whip is I thought was pretty inventive. And then even in the White House fight scene, which I think is worth bringing up too, seeing Diana like save people, you like haven't
you don't see that in superhero movies.
See her taking bad guys down while also trying to like do it in the most humane way possible.
Make sure they don't get hurt
like
that
it's
much.
Like it's like a great example of characterization through action that a lot of action movies just sort of forget where they. It's where like I first noticed this with the prequels, and a lot of movies do this, where they go into movie mode where characters talk and story happens, then they go into fight scene mode where they just have the CG artists do whatever, the director takes a nap, and then just big fight happens that just is supposed to look cool. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, that
There was a lot more. I thought there was far more personality in this, and I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm in regards to the fight scenes that I'm forgetting. I like Tanner Go or Austin Go or whatever.
Like for me, when I watch superhero movies, this is just how I view them. I don't necessarily go to them for the big fun action scenes, though I do like them. I usually go to superhero movies for the characters. And that's what I really love about these movies is okay, basically what I'm saying is in a lot of ways they feel like the modern Greek legends. But more than anything, I go to superhero movies for the characters, not the fight scenes. I want to that like the fight scenes help, and like Rein was saying, I really like characterization through action scenes. I think some superhero movies do this a lot better than others. There are some Marvel movies that do this very well, and there are some Marvel movies that do this very poorly. But in recent memory, it's hard to think of a movie that does the characterization through action better than Wonder Woman 1984. The only one I can think of that came out recently is Birds of Prey. Actually,
Yeah.
What a good year for DC and women.
Yeah,
Birds of Prey fucking rocked.
That movie was solid. I think I don't know if this will be a digression, but I'll bring it up anyway. Something an interesting aspect to the whole well-worn argument that superheroes, modern day Greek myth, is the idea that people look down on superhero movies and pop entertainment in general as being dumb, disposable stuff. I just always think that's odd when they'll praise something like the Odyssey or what have you, which is essentially just a really, 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 really old version of a superhero movie, because in the sense that like the Odyssey, it was not a story that like 20 something educated kids were talking about in between having sex with each other. It was this
God, nothing's changed.
It was a story for all ages, all audiences, for the whole community, young and old. It was their equivalent to pop entertainment. So I just think it's funny. Like, I just think it's odd for us to.
It's funny how people look down on pop entertainment when more often than not that is truly what stands the test of time.
Yes.
Shakespeare. Do you ever hear about any other plays from that era?
Yeah, it's great. A great example. Best example probably. But
Shakespeare was pop entertainment shit. Like
yeah. Like, I don't know, this is what sort of separates me, I guess, when I'm talking to like my really artsy friends about stuff, is like I like the weird stuff. I like this I love Mandy. But like, I don't know, I think there's something of value to a piece of art that's able to be appreciated by everyone, just be as big and loud, and just something, I don't know, just something to pop art that I think it's underappreciated.
doing something simple and executing it very well, I think can be just as good and as artistically meaningful as doing something complicated executed very well. Back to the Future is a pretty simple concept. It has some complexities, but more or less a pretty simple concept executed to perfection.
Yep.
Primer is a very complex movie executed to perfection, but I think they are both equally as well. Actually, I think Back to the Future is way better than Primer, but I think they both have a lot of merit. So yeah, I really agree with what you're saying, and I think that's you and I really stand apart from a lot of other fucking nerds when we see the pop entertainment being as equally as valid as the more artsy fartsy shit. Like I consistently my favorite movies of the year are a mix of the pop entertainment stuff and then the more obscure indie art house shit. And that's just how it is for me. Like I see them both as equally as valid, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm just the film centrist.
I'm trying to think.
Austin hasn't said anything in a while.
He must be seething.
I'm just losing it over here. I pissed my pants in rage twice since you two started
Yeah,
talking.
He wants to murder me because I said I don't like primer that much.
My overalls are a dark blue now. A dark blue.
So much piss and cum.
Have you seen Billy Madison? I look like that now.
Yeah, but then he made that cool, so...
Oh, I'm about to. My friend Jake Howell, he once found a frog on the ground, and he picked it up and held it in his hand. He looked the frog dead in its eyes, and he asked it, "Do you feel blamed? Do you feel blamed for this?"
What does this mean?
That sounds like
superhero movies are constantly being critiqued for being this, like, definitely a race to the bottom aesthetically and as far as storytelling ever since the Nolan thing that happened, where everyone wants to do it dark and gritty and everybody wants to one up each other. All the Snyder movies want to do this. And then they make a movie that is a huge contrast to this. First, they make Shazam, which I think was a great, like, breakaway from those early mistakes.
Yeah.
And then they make Birds of Prey, same thing. Wonder Woman, they're continuing trying to give us modern updates, new actors, new CGI, a whole new story, and give us this new version of what a superhero story could be. And people rejected it. These same people who are complaining that Dawn of Justice is fucking stupid, that it's miserable, when you give them Wonder Woman 1984, they treat you like shit. So again, do you feel blamed?
Am I the frog, or who's the frog?
Like superhero movies were the frog at first, and now I think we are. It definitely sounds like something.
Maybe he's saying we're responsible for this superhero.
No.
Let's ask Jake. It definitely sounds like something Jake would say.
Let's call him up.
I'd love to get Jake on this shit. God.
My review of Wonder Woman 1884 is actually just this happened to my buddy Jake.
So another complaint I hear that might technically be true, but it didn't bother me, was how there isn't a lot of, it probably is a problem, but like there isn't a lot of Wonder Woman movie, but like I don't know, everything with Maxwell was just so like entertaining. Like he was like almost like it was almost like, I don't know, like he was like almost a protagonist in his own right.
I thought he did good. Even the haters point to this movie even the haters point to Pedro Pascal. I was like, I like that. How
much of this though do you think is goodwill borrowed from The Mandalorian? Because we can't pretend he's anybody else now. You know, when I found out that Mando was in this movie, it did kind of change my experience with it. I don't know if
as the one person who's not gone around Mandalorian yet, I will say,
Jesus Christ. Yeah. I'm so sorry. You've been spoiled to hell.
No. It's I haven't even bothered trying to like hide the spoilers because I don't feel like not using the internet, so I'm fine. Where was like, oh yeah, I still loved him in the movie. Like he was by far the best part.
Oh, thank God. A breath of objectivity from the one man who hasn't seen The Mandalorian. This is fucking great.
The one man on Earth. Yep. There's only this guy.
Yep.
You are an indisposable litmus test right now. I gotta ask about the Wonder Woman and what's his name? Steve Trevor, right?
Oh yeah, we gotta get into that, I guess.
Oh yes! I can't believe we've gone an hour without talking about the best superhero couple since
Deadpool.
Yeah.
Since
no, they're great. I love them.
Yeah.
I've heard people say along the lines of "no dick is this good." No dick is like 80 years good, or however long it's been.
Yeah. Yeah.
First off, wrong.
I'll let Tiana talk in a second, but I'll say, like, in short, like my opinion on their role in the movie. It's I'm of two minds about it, but I can get into that in a bit.
Their chemistry was one of the highlights of the first movie, and it continues here. I really love how in the first movie, the dynamic was Wonder Woman's the fish out of water, and in this movie the dynamic is Steve Trevor's a fish out of water.
Yeah, I thought.
And Chris Pine just sells it so well. But like he's still that's the best part. He's a fish out of water, but he still carries this air of confidence about him, which I think really helps sell the movie. Like he's not just a romantic interest; he is a legitimate hero in
Yeah.
his own right.
That's one thing I liked about the.
I wish more superhero movies did.
That's one thing I liked about the action scene in the Middle East in particular, is that there was a vulnerable character doing crazy James Bond shit. And the whole time you're watching it, you know, that guy gets hit with one bullet and that's a huge fucking problem. That's something that they don't.
Yeah, he's dead. He's gone.
That's something they don't do in superhero movies all the time. Is like maybe they'll have like a Mary Jane type who's like dangling from the ceiling and or something, but like actively trying to stop the threat and aiding the superhero at the same time while being very pervious to bullets. It was cool. It aided the viewing experience. It played well with the scene. And I also heard people critique how long the dress-up scene was, which is weird because
that shit was awesome. I loved that.
It was cute.
I hadn't seen the first movie until today, and now everyone who critiqued the dress-up scene, I want to like grab him by the collar and just kind of shake him a little bit. Like, don't you remember that happened in the other movie? There's a lot of parallels between the two of these, you know? She got a long dress-up scene in the first movie. That chick from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was there. And now he gets a long dress-up scene. They just swapped who was who, like Tanner said.
Yeah, it's gold. It really works how they flip the dynamics on its head. But I also like how you said, like someone said, no dick is 80 years good or whatever. First off, there are other movies that star men in the Wonder Woman role that have had a very similar dynamic. I don't remember anyone complaining about it then. I'm just saying.
I will say it
might be a sexism.
I will say in defense, I mean I agree with you, Tanner, but I will say in defense, like I think a lot of people are saying it from the other side where they're saying her being so obsessed with this man is like sort of like a mark against her.
But that's the dumb thing. They don't complain about superhero movies where the man. Nobody complained that Captain America threw his modern day fucking life. Okay, actually, people did complain about this, but
they're not nearly as much.
Not nearly as many people complain about Captain America throwing his life away and staying in the past.
Yeah.
So he could be with some chick. Nobody complained about that, and I think that is like of the similar scale to what's going on here.
Yeah, so I guess I could get into my thoughts on it. So, Steve Trevor, / actor man, whose name I'm blanking on. He's great in the movie. They give him like, I mean, he had a good deal of characterization in the first one, but like they gave him like even more. Like I thought like every time he was just like giddy, like a giddy child whenever airplane stuff came up and he was learning more about like the advances in airplane technology. Like when he went to the space station. Or not when he went to the museum on space.
When he went to the International Space Station, when they entered orbit. When they entered low Earth orbit. Good time.
Stuff like that. That was great. It was fantastic. I loved it. And their chemistry is obviously great. It's like one of the best parts about the movie. But on the other hand, it definitely does feel like they use that because they can tell, like, because again, Gal Gadot, she's not like an amazing actress. It almost feels like they could tell like. Her and the guy have such great chemistry. Oh, why don't we just bring him back? So to use him as a crutch, sort of. It almost felt like that. I'm not almost. I'm on a fence if actually no. I don't think. I think it ultimately works bringing him back, but it definitely I felt like they do teeter close to like just repeating material from the last movie.
That's fair.
Yeah, but for me, the second time I cried. No, wait, this is the first time I cried. I'm getting confused. Hold on. The first time I cried during this movie was basically when Steve said, "I'm already gone."
Yeah.
And Gal Gadot walks away, runs away, and then learns to fly away.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was loudly crying. I'm pretty sure everyone in the theater heard me.
Yeah, and that's another thing people complain about. I don't know. I felt like I don't know. It was sort of a moment where I just like let the emotion of the scene, let the meaning of the scene. I just like let that take over any sort of like logical issues that came with it.
The emotions and the impact that scene had was worth whatever stupid shit
Yeah.
people had.
I thought it was interesting from an artistic perspective that they made him die off screen and they didn't do an end game or some kind of like strange.
I thought that was
I like
beautiful.
that. I like that.
It worked really well because
I keep
he's just a
interrupting you.
memory, and so him, fading away like that, just disappearing off
I'm
into a
already
crowd
gone.
of people. It was a more beautiful way to do a send off. Well,
That's
I
like
think-
really letting go.
I think we can all agree Patty Jenkins definitely has like a better able to handle romance than like most blockbuster directors can.
oh yeah.
almost like a woman's perspective on these things matter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, definitely. And another thing people complain about a lot is the opening. I didn't mind it at all. The flashback.
Anyone who calls that scene pointless is like smoking crack. It basically states the thesis of the film.
Yeah, Devin.
Well, now we're just gonna call him out by name. We're just gonna call him out by name.
How many
Good.
fucking times
Good.
on this podcast have you mentioned Joe Vrenick by name? Okay, like we're not above anything here.
No, we're not. It was funny.
That's why I've got to be on every episode, so you motherfuckers can't say anything about me, because I'll always be here to say some shitty story about a frog. Okay?
I mean, you also edit the podcast, so we can't say anything shitty about you.
Listen, this I have my reasons to protect myself from the anti-Semitism. That's it. I'm afraid of anti-Semitism from you two. I wish that they had done a thing in the movie where Chris Pine's character had seen a new space shuttle that was being built at like NASA or something. Because I think there was a space shuttle that was being built around that time called the Challenger. I think that would have made a better addition to the movie.
No.
Oh no.
Chris Pine just sees that and is like,
It would have represented their doomed relationship.
Chris Pine just sees that and it's like, wow, something people died joke.
Yeah. When that thing goes up, everyone's going to be watching. Children, parents.
All slain. I mean, what? He just starts saying, man, when that spaceship hits 88 miles per hour, we're going to see, he just starts running back to the future.
Oh my God. Well, Patty Jenkins, when she announced this movie, she said that it was going to be another great love story. And it was interesting that she just went back to using, Chris Pine, the strange idea that Diana has been in society for such a long time and really was just remaining chaste because she really needed that above average dick from the first movie.
I mean, there's something to be said about that one true love.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the first man that she ever saw in real life. That might play into
my defense, it's sort of like fairy tale logic, I feel like. Which for a movie like this I think works.
There's a magic space rock, of course it works. Well, not space rock, but just magic rock.
Tanner, did you just say the people who don't like the long indulgent opening sequence are smoking crack rock? Is that what you just said?
Yes, I stand by that.
Tanner,
if
how
you
long do you
dislike
think...
it, that's fine. But if you think it's pointless, I mean, what the hell?
Did you know on some of the days when they were shooting that sequence, Patty Jenkins used up to 14 techno cranes for various parts of that sequence? 14 techno cranes.
That's a lot, but I can believe
crack?
It's sort of a Marvel. It's sort of a DC
Marvel?
too.
You made the joke.
Hold on. I've got a gun. I'm going to kill myself right now for that. I think...
got a gun. Set to the tune of Jane's got a gun.
Hold on. I actually have the movie up right here on HBO Max. Let me see exactly how long this sequence is. It's only about 10 minutes, so it's not as bad as I remember. It's a giant 10-minute synthesis of Cirque du Soleil and American Ninja Warrior and extreme sports.
Fun fact: the girl that plays young Diana did all her own stunts.
Oh yeah, I heard that. That's crazy.
Because apparently she was doing a better job than the stunt doubles.
Dude, do you think her and that like little girl from the Wolverine just hang out and scare the shit out of people?
God, I hope so. That'd be awesome.
There's just a club full of little girls who have the mental age of like 30-year-old like ex-Russian spies.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they're
Fucking
They're just in the jungle right now, just honing their skills, waiting for that all female reboot of Rambo.
This film is dedicated to the brave Mujahideen fighters of Afghanistan. I'm gonna recut Wonder Woman 1984 so it ends with that.
I thought it was kind of. Did either of you have the reaction? I noticed this distinctively happened within me. I was wondering which part was when did the egregious cheating occur? Was it when she didn't shoot that one color smoke bomb thing? Was that what got her disqualified?
her
That
using
and the
the
fact that
shortcut.
she took a shortcut.
Just losing her fucking horse was reason for Buttercup from the Princess Brides to beat up this kid.
I mean, basically, the whole point was that, like, first off, she was much younger than everyone else competing. So, like, the idea is that it's a very difficult challenge, and if you fuck up, well, if you fuck up, sucks to suck, I guess.
That's fair. That's fair. First time I watched it, I was along with that little kid. I was agreeing with the little kid. I was like, "What the
What the
fuck?
fuck is this
She
shit?
did everything right."
Yeah, I thought it was like her using her ingenuity or whatever. Like as I was watching it, then
It's strange how much I identified with that child in that moment. I don't know. I deserve these fucking overalls. I was very taken aback of all the twists and turns in this movie. Her getting the shit beaten out of her by that lady from House of Cards, even though she did so good. That was probably the lowest point in the movie for me because I was very impressed.
Hashtag young Diana did nothing wrong.
I'm trying to think if we I think I've gotten some heat or a very silent heat because whenever I bring up Kristen Wiig, or is it Kirsten
Kristen
Wiig?
I think it's Kristen.
Thank you. Whenever I bring up Kristen Wiig, I always begin the conversation by saying things like, I don't know what her mass appeal is all about. I don't get why she's being cast in these blockbusters that are trying to make $1 billion fucking dollars. I guess I haven't analyzed her box office returns or her draw as much as other people have, but usually I'm greeted by people who are just kind of quietly pissed at me, like, don't fucking say that shit about an actress, okay?
I was gonna say she's really great in like indie stuff. It's just it seems like whenever she's doing big blockbuster stuff, she kind of is pretty mediocre.
Except this, I think she was good here. I think she really worked here.
But
I don't.
she was all right.
Okay.
I think she was decent, but I definitely
Definitely the inferior villain, but
yeah.
I would have preferred somebody that when she goes into like Cheetah Apex Predator mode, looks a lot scarier than the lady from MacGruber, okay? Kristen Wiig is prettier than anyone I'll ever meet in the state of Missouri, like most of them. But god damn it, I could think of some scarier women that you could have cast to play the Cheetah.
You know, that's a good point. I think yeah, you know, I don't think she really sells like being a physical threat now that I think about it.
she sells the I'm swarmy nerd thing really well, which I think that's the reason why it works, is because I thought that was more important to her character. The fact that she doesn't sell being an apex predator, I thought was kind of the point.
Yes and no.
Oh,
I mean, because it shouldn't feel natural. Like it should, but it should still feel like.
It should still feel at least a little intimidating. I guess I see that, because she needs to be a threat. Maybe in that last scene she should feel more like a threat, but the entire time it's. I got the impression it's supposed to be like imposter syndrome stuff. Like, she doesn't belong here. This is not who she is. Does she deserve to be like ignored and shat on by everyone? No. But she's not this apex. I'm getting dangerously close to social Darwinism territory here.
Up next, our review of Idiocracy by Mike
God
Judge.
damn. I'm getting way too close to that for comfort. But I'm not saying she deserved to like be a nerd, but like she deserved to be appreciated for who she is, not be something she's not. And she feels uncomfortable in this role the entire time. And I think it's the point. Now maybe it laid on too thick or it doesn't quite work. But the fact that she's not an intimidating apex predator, I thought was to its advantage. Personally. God, people that hate this movie probably think I sound like a crazy person.
Yeah.
It is interesting because I personally would have preferred something where I was wondering during that fight scene between Wonder Woman and the Cheetah if Wonder Woman was actually going to have a very hard time because I was so unintimidated by Kristen Wiig. It seemed like something like an obstacle stopping me from the final showdown. You know how in like the Mortal Kombat video games, the second to last boss is super fucking
Yep.
tough, sometimes harder than the
Yep.
final boss. I was hoping for something similar to that, and instead I got the apparently the choreographer who did the ending fight in Black Panther, except it was a literal cat fight inside of a feminist blockbuster.
I will say this movie would be significantly improved if they just simplified the romance mechanic, the Steve Trevor's coming back mechanics, as well as just acting. I'd say most of the Cheetah stuff.
Would either of you two agree that it would have been more compelling? I've heard this from some people that I would never have like a coffee date with. That it would be more interesting if Kristen Wiig's character was gay for Diana. Were either of you wanting or expecting
I
that?
low key got that vibe already.
Yeah,
But it was it felt very like the studio won't let me, but
Yeah.
it's there.
I don't know if it would really help or hurt it in a Like,
Might
I don't
have
know.
worked more if they made it more explicit.
I don't think it ruins the movie that it's not. I don't think it would like save the movie, quote unquote, if it was there. I don't I wouldn't be against. I wouldn't mind it though. And yeah, like Tanner's saying, that definitely does feel like you can read into it definitely.
Granted, I'm also the same kind of person that low-key feels like Electro in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 wanted to fuck Spider-Man. But it's way it's also just more apparent here that's I really think that was the vibe they were going for in this one.
Yeah, I even like whispered to Tanner in the movie, "Oh God, this is just Lady Electro, isn't she?"
Yeah,
Like
except it works. Except
when-
it
when
works.
she-
I want to
yeah.
emphasize this. It works.
Yeah. Yeah. This was her introductory scene back, when we didn't really, too really tell where this movie was going to go. And yeah, at the very least, I will say she's better than Electro.
I also did. This is a fun time to bring up that I didn't
lot
realize
better.
Maxwell Lord was in the movie. I thought Cheetah was the only villain. So when I heard Maxwell Lord, I was like, wait a fuck, really? That's cool.
I figured, I like from what I saw, from trailers and all that and posters, I figured they were going to go what they did, the whole route of Maxwell Lord's the main villain, and then Cheetah's the brawn henchman sort of deal.
Did either of you two like once the wishes started spiraling
That
out of
shit was
control and you just
awesome.
had random people dealing with the consequences of like asking for like horses in the middle of the city and
I
shit?
thought
It
the
was fucking
weirdest-
hilarious.
I thought the weirdest wish, well, maybe not. I thought the wish I was not expecting from a mainstream superhero movie was when a lady said, "I wish your people were gone," and then what I assumed was the case is that like Irish
the
people
cops
just started.
actually come in.
Yeah, the Irish. Then
God.
like there was an Irish Holocaust that was about to happen or
This
something.
is like right, no, because this is like right before the
Troubles.
troubles happened. So it's like kind of weird.
Yeah, the movie presupposes something that it's entirely antithetical to my Marxist worldview, which is just if you gave a bunch of people wishes, they'd all get rage boners and just wish that something in their immediate vicinity would go away, or enough of them would that the world would descend into chaos and fall apart.
No, my favorite wish is the guy that just wish he had a coffee.
Yeah, I wonder.
The very first guy, which makes me wonder what happened when he revoked his wish.
Yeah, it's either a something like minor happened to reflect the minorness of the wish,
He
like
sprained his ankle.
Yeah,
he sprained his ankle because he got the coffee, so his ankle gets unsprained, but now he's just a little cranky again.
Yeah, or he got the most valuable thing taken from him, so like he can't use his hands or something, or his his brain don't work, or something like that, just because he got some free coffee.
Now he's just a puppet, tangled in strings.
I don't know why I keep referencing that Ultron line lately.
That movie is kind of a mess, but I like it.
I haven't seen Age of Ultron since it came out in theaters. I was so disappointed by it that I haven't given it like a second shot. Am I be?
No, I was just
Sorry.
gonna say I don't blame you.
I didn't know if like in the time since it's come out that there has been any kind of reassessment of that movie's critical
No.
worth.
There has been very, very recently, because of WandaVision. But
okay.
it most of the tweets I saw about it were people bullying the people trying to revitalize it. So I don't think it worked.
Yeah, it's always time for Pietro posting up in here.
What?
I
You didn't see that coming?
Oh, as someone who hadn't seen Wonder Woman 1 before this, I was gonna get on the podcast and bitch about how I wanted Robin Wright to be in more of the movie and how dumb I felt that they wasted Robin Wright, one of my favorite actresses. And then just fucking, then I saw the first one today and I figured out why she's not in it that much.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God.
I was gonna come in here acting like hot shit. I'm just like, I personally run a Robin Wright. I run a Robin Wright fan club. Okay, I'd let Robin Wright peg me to death.
Same.
So then, anyway, I got to the party eventually.
What'd you?
Glad to be
I have
here.
to know, even though this is a 1984 podcast, I have to know. What did you think of the No Man's Land scene?
That was that. I kind of get what all the gay people were talking about when this movie came out. It was super fucking duper. It was great. It was really inspiring seeing her take a shitload of machine gun fire while everybody else went to go like liberate a village. That was super cool.
Yeah, the No Man's Land scene, even though I think Wonder Woman 1984 is a much better movie than the original, the No Man's Land scene still gives me chills. Just the way because first off, I remember in the theater thinking, I swear to fucking God, if she's like, no man, huh? And then I realized Patty Jenkins is a good filmmaker, and she wouldn't put in something stupid like that.
So in this movie, your version in the No Man's Land scene is the scene where they're flying over the fireworks in the invisible jet.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I think that's the equivalent. My favorite scene in the movie overall, though, is Pedro Pascal proudly just saying to his son, "I'm a fucking loser."
Oh yeah.
No, it's before that when he's like, "My son," and he realizes what he's done and how he's abandoned his kid, and I just start crying because
that might be my favorite scene too.
It's the second time in 2020 I cried over Pedro Pascal being a father.
Oh no! Don't bring me back there. No,
the second time. It's a trend.
Oh God, that was so fucking good. I cried when Chris Pine poofed off, and I got a little bit emotional near the end there. Did either of you feel that showing the Lasso of Truth flashback to Pedro Pascal, Max Lord's troubled past, worked or hurt the movie?
I thought it worked because there's a little bit of there's some character development before this that shows he's a good guy somewhere deep down, but I don't think there was enough to make the final scene work. So I think that flashback montage helped sell it. Some people may call it cheap, but I just say I thought it worked. It didn't feel like it was, oh, this is why you should feel bad for him, because I thought it was set up very minimally in his characterization up until that point. It felt less like the entire time I never got the vibe that he was just some greedy asshole that wanted to be rich. I got it a little bit, but more than anything, I got the vibe he was trying to prove himself. And I think that's just a testament to Pedro Pascal's performance in the movie, that flashback montage at the end works as well as it does, because it doesn't feel totally out of left field because the seeds are planted.
Yeah, my thoughts are, so yeah, throughout the movie, he definitely comes off as someone with inferiority complex and whatnot. So like, seeing his backstory, like it does fit, but and it works for me more than it doesn't. But I don't know. I would have really preferred it if like they would have been more established before having it, or just having that. I don't know.
More established. He's a pretty messed up loser guy.
Well, yeah, or seeing having him tell us about his backstory, and then having it pay off with us actually seeing shots of it. I think that would have worked better instead of just saving it all for the end, more or less like they did.
Yeah, that's fair. That would have been structured better in the screenplay if it wasn't just an info dump at the end. I agree with that.
That's fair. It would have worked better that way. I still think it works, but I can understand like the nitpick with it and how it feels out of left field. I definitely understand that perspective and respect it. It did work for me.
And now on to the most important game-changing thing that happens in the movie. Throughout the movie, they talk about a great Amazonian warrior One
Oh,
who
yeah.
gives her a golden
Let's
suit of
fucking
armor
go.
with fucking wings.
By the way,
And,
that armor's sick as hell.
That armor, ever since that first poster dropped, everyone agrees that armor fucks. That armor
I
rocks.
want that poster with all the neon colors and that armor.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks so cool.
That poster is the antithesis of the Godzilla poster that just came out. Every orange and blue poster lives in fear of the Wonder Woman 1984 poster.
I agree. I agree.
It is so yeah. While as cool as it looks, I don't know. The armor really is just like it makes her more durable. Like I don't know. It really doesn't serve too much purpose. If I feel like, on a narrative level,
fair.
but it does look cool and it's a cool callback to Kingdom Come and whatnot.
And we get our Linda Carter cameo, so it's all worth it.
Although I did hear a good excuse or a good argument. Apparently, I haven't read Kingdom Come since high school, but apparently wasn't like the armor like that was like to show like Wonder Woman, she wore it as during like the lowest point of her character in that story. So it is kind of funny to see her wearing that during her like triumphant heroic return moment of this movie. I thought that was
I don't know.
You're telling me
I haven't read Kingdom Come in like 10 years.
Are you
Yeah.
telling me that Wonder Woman's version of gray sweatpants and a hoodie is fucking gold armor with wings? When she's down and listening to MCR in a fucking car when it's raining out by herself, she just puts on gold fucking armor with wings?
it's
The top 5% of the top 1% has too much of the wealthy sad boy hours. They need to have less wealthy sad boy hours. Something
The
Bernie
only,
Sanders voice.
this is completely off topic, but the only trap house I've listened to so far was the episode where they are reading who's that little man, that little annoying conservative man? What's his name? I forget.
Ben
Al-
Shapiro.
Yeah,
Oh,
when
thank you.
when they're doing the reading of the novel he wrote, that was hilarious.
God. Yeah, that racist fucking weird America's a Dystopia Now fantasy book.
Yeah,
That was a good
I just
episode.
I just wanted to mention that for some reason.
I appreciate it. My life completely changed because I didn't know what leftist was. I didn't know what being a leftist was until I started listening to those fuckers. I used to listen to a lot of neoliberal media. I used to
Yeah.
listen to like mostly just Slate podcasts. And then I thought I was so fucking smart, dude. And then I started listening to actual like leftist podcasts and I was like, oh shit, right. I don't want to be a class trader. I don't want to move to New York and trade stocks. And now this whole GameStop thing happened, and now where am I? I don't know anymore.
You know what though? This GameStop thing definitely feels like something someone wished for in this movie. Like it
Yes!
has that energy.
It does. Also, like I don't know. I think the wish stuff. It's so fun. Like you could have made a whole movie just with like Pedro Pascal. He could have been the protagonist. Like it was just so fun to watch.
I
all
want
that.
a mini series that's just him going around granting witches.
Okay, I am sad that this movie is not done well critically, and because like if people loved it as much as me and Tanner did, then I mean because I would really be interested to see what they would do with this character in the future. Like I mean I don't see that happening now, but
I mean, his story's done anyway.
what?
Allow me.
Macro
Hold
lore-
on. What did you think happened when this came out? Fuck the critics. Okay, let me tell you what happened when Wonder Woman 1984 dropped on VOD. HBO Max experienced 3 times the viewership than they had in a month. This movie got more fucking streams than Hamilton did. Okay?
God damn, that's actually amazing.
They're definitely making a Wonder Woman 3.
They've already announced it. I just wonder what they're gonna do with this one. Am I finally gonna get my mid-2000s superhero movie? Oh my god! Wait! Oh my god! The soundtrack's gonna have pop punk.
No, it's just gonna be an orchestral cover of Soulja Boy.
Fine, early 2000s. So we can. No, I want a slowed down orchestra cover of All the Small Things by Blink 182. I want that more than anything.
Oh, they'll bring in Wonder Girl. Is that her name?
Wonder
What the fuck
Girl?
are you talking about?
Wonder Woman's like she has like a teenage sidekick. Wonder Girl, I think her name is.
Yeah. It's Alistair's sister.
Are you talking about Cassie?
Maybe.
I guess her name's Wonder Girl. I just usually think of her human name first. Yeah. I can't remember the last time her and Wonder Woman were actually like featured together in a comic.
I only know about her through Young Justice, so that's But anyway, what I was saying, they could just to try and make your dreams come true. They could have the movie could be like a mentor-mentee relationship. She's come to Earthland. They gotta learn to do stuff, and she likes pop punk because that's her being a child.
Skater boy.
Because her being a child's the only moral, ethical way you could excuse her liking pop punk.
What the fuck?
I'm just joshing with you.
This movie did two things for me. Kind of taking like all of it as a gestalt, like holistic influence. It made me never want to fucking name a kid Alistair in my entire fucking life.
Well, I already wanted to do that. Didn't want to do that, so
that just got grating. I was like, dude, you thought you picked a cool name, but you picked like a Maximilian. You picked a fucking Xander, dude. Like,
Alistair!
And the other thing it made me wish, to go back a little bit, was I wish there were more Wish movies.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know until I saw like a $250 million Wish movie that this is a very awesome way to do a screenplay, is to put a genie in it. Because that shit went so far up the wall, I didn't even know what I was fucking looking at, or my expectations were so thoroughly fucking shredded that I was in love with the movie just for that alone. I was watching it, and when they introduced the stone and they're like, oh yeah, she got her wish. Chris Pine's back. I'm like, whatever, this can't hurt. And then just fucking what I was seeing an hour later, it was awesome. That shit was so fucking tight.
Yes, the funniest part of the movie, the wish concept is worth it alone, because the funniest part of the movie was when Ronald fucking Reagan was given the opportunity to wish for anything he ever wanted, immediately says, God, I wish I had more nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
God, that was the funniest part of the movie, because it was so accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I had more nukes, dangerously close to the other people with nukes. Then my nukes would definitely win. My wife would tell me when she read her horoscope that that's how I fix this world.
They should have had a scene where midway through the conversation with Maxwell Lord, the president just goes, "Wow, who are you? Where am I?"
Wait, can I wish really for more jelly beans?
Like immediately after making his wish, he's like, "All right, my wish would be, huh? What?" Actually, this is an interesting question. If you forgot you made a wish, would you be allowed to make another one? Is Alzheimer's OP? God, cut that out.
No, dude, that's a really well-structured joke. I mean, I like that.
I love how every time I make a good joke, I just immediately say cut that out.
Aren't you I don't know.
Yeah, no, we're making a supercut of all the parts of all these podcasts where you're like, oh no, cut that. Wow, we compiled a supercut. We're going to release that instead.
Only when Tanner runs for office. For a film that had 6 different release dates, I think it's interesting that we got this product. Another fun fact about this movie is that the CGI was finished 5 months before its original release date. So like a million years ago, but back before the virus happened. Its original release date was
a year ago.
Yeah. Fucking the VFX were done 5 months before that. They got this shit hammered out like super quick because I guess they're fucking the VFX director was the same guy who worked on like the Harry Potter movies. So they did that shit really nice. One thing I've heard people say is they had a long time to do reshoots and work on this movie. And it's interesting that we got the final product that we did, because this must work inside some of the creative people's heads. I think history is going to prove you two more correct than the general consensus because people didn't like The Thing when it came out. People didn't like It's a Wonderful Life when it came out. Maybe Wonder Woman 1984 will become more well-liked as we get away from the period of right now that is so similar to the 80s.
I've heard a lot of people compare this to Spider-Man 3, and I think that will be, like what you're saying, I think it'll be a similar situation with that, where, like, if you look at Spider-Man 3 discourse now, a lot of it is people coming back to and be like, it's got some problems, but I really like it, like, and giving, like, positive critiques of it. So I think, I think you're on the ball with that. At least I like this. I want to think you are, at least. In this,
I don't think it's gonna be like when people hated Spider-Man 3 when it came out. They're not gonna like suddenly love this movie like we did, but they're definitely, I think, appreciation for this one's
I think
gonna grow as time goes on.
On long enough timeline they might, but yeah, probably not to that degree. I think another good comparison would be like the 2000, well, not to this movie, not really at least, but to the 2003 Hulk, Ang Lee Hulk, where that people did not like that at first, but now it's most of what you hear about.
I still feel like you and I are weird for liking that one.
I don't know. I think it's like most of the discourse around it. Like if you look up anything about 2003 Hulk, it will be like, oh, it's pretty good. It's underrated.
No, I think that's mostly because the people that didn't like it forgot it existed. That doesn't work for Spider-Man 3 because that was like the highest grossing Spider-Man movie for a long time.
Yeah.
But for 2003 Hulk, I think the reason why it seems like it has so many defenders now is that the people who didn't like it don't give a shit anymore because they thought it was boring.
Yeah.
Superhero movies have evolved to being like 5 different things since the 2003 Hulk happened. It's no longer a threat to them. They could just kind of back off and be at a distance with it.
That's what. If I can make a connection between Ang Lee Hulk and Wonder Woman 84 is that they do that, like, I feel like there's definitely you can tell like there's a director behind both, like there's their flourishes are there like apparent in both instances, which I didn't feel like it was as much the case in the first Wonder Woman. For as far as I can tell, she didn't Patty Jenkins didn't really have a lot of experience doing like big scale blockbusters or movies before this, and a problem I have with that, I do like the movie a lot, but a problem I do have with that movie, along with like almost all like superhero movies now, big blockbusters now, is where they just get like some indie director who does not really have much experience knowing how to like properly make a movie like at this scale, as well as having the clout to really like push back against studio stuff and just do what they do best. She just didn't really have that, I feel like, in the first one, but in this one I felt like she was a lot more comfortable with the scale of what was going on and all that, and the actions in all the action and all was a lot more creative, I thought. And
big agree there. I can think of some things that might have rubbed people the wrong way because they were distinctive inventions of Patty Jenkins's wonderful mind. Like that opening sequence is so indulgent and weird and like over the top. You would not just see that shit randomly in a superhero movie. I actually heard, I think it's like a production story about the movie, that the studio was fighting for her not to keep that in there. They said you can have the mall scene where she takes down the baddies in the mall, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze style, or you can have this crazy fucking Cirque du Soleil thing. And she was like, listen, we're having both, or I will shoot this dog. And then she held up that cover of National Lampoon.
No, it's great because like she could have just been like, you already fucked over my third act. Don't you fucking dare.
Yeah.
And the sequence in the Middle East, it was that was kind of brilliant because she had to know Gal Gadot's public image as a former member of the IDF. Having a former member of the IDF swing in and save some Middle Eastern children was so Patty Jenkins.
I think she knew what she was doing there. Though I will say, some of the weirdest, I've noticed this a lot where people critiquing this movie will use progressive language, like abuse it in a way to critique it. Like, apparently there was some situation where the IDF killed some kids that were playing soccer So because it's the fucking IDF.
Yeah.
And they made some weird comparison to like Gal Gadot. I don't know. It was really weird. I'm just like, I think you guys are reading into this too much. I think that's just a coincidence. Soccer's a popular sport.
I think I don't know. The problem I've had with this discourse, it's like I think it's understandable to a degree, and especially if a Palestinian, I don't know, like if a Palestinian person has a problem with it, I understand. But like I don't know, I feel like a big difference between this and like if this was like if she was like some American veteran or something, some American soldier, is the fact that like all Israeli people are forced to be in the army. Like it's not really something you have a choice in the matter of. So I don't know, I feel like that makes a substantial sort of difference in this sort of discussion.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind
and
of
you gotta
fucked up how
understand.
Israel makes their citizens be war criminals.
Well, you also got to understand Patty Jenkins and in like behind the scenes stuff. This whole cast and crew, or at least the cast, they see each other as family. Mostly because Gal Gadot brings her fucking kids to set all the time, and they all had a lot of fun making Wonder Woman 1. So it's very reasonable that Patty Jenkins could be like, all right, I am gonna write this in because yeah, she knows Gal Gadot like as a close friend, and she's like, all right, let's give her some PR where she fucking, we got this image of her saving Middle Eastern kids. But also, I did say that as kind of a shitty example of what a Patty Jenkins touch is. I'm sure a much better example that wouldn't lead to discourse about an apartheid state would be like her talking to the entire world as a chance to try to stop the sky beam. Because you know how people reduce that third act superhero movie thing into some kind of sky beam? Well, in this movie, the sky beam was that particle cannon maneuver that Max Lord does. And it seems very Patty Jenkins to just have somebody like intercept the sky beam and use it to like make a universal plea to the world to please stop fucking this up so hard. That seems very Patty Jenkins for a superhero movie.
I just want to say about the Skybeam discourse. I don't think anyone would have Skybeam discourse if it wasn't for fucking Suicide Squad. I don't remember anyone giving a shit before that.
I was gonna say it might have been a straw to break the camel's back situation, because there really are like a lot of movies that had that.
It's just that with Suicide Squad, it was so much more explicit.
Yeah.
That's it, huh? We're some kind of Wonder Woman 1984.
Okay, let's have some closing thoughts on the movie. Did you two feel like you adequately got to express on the show like what you liked about the movie? Have you gotten to properly spread the gospel?
Yeah, I think I got all my takes. Got all my I think I proselytized enough.
I feel like I would need 2 more hours to fully express it, but also nobody wants to hear me ramble on about this movie for that long.
Tanner, I will gladly do a bonus podcast if you just want to keep rambling about Wonder Woman.
Extended. Yeah. No, I think I got all my major points out of the way. It's just
once we get like 1 million views on this, then we can do the sequel podcast.
Yeah, this isn't gonna fucking crack 100. None of the podcasts do.
Once this cracks 1 million views, then we'll do the sequel podcast.
It's gonna get hate watched because it's a 2-hour video of people praising Wonder Woman 1984. So people are gonna like bully us.
I mean, they can bully us all they want, but why'd they watch this more than Hamilton? Huh? The numbers don't lie. Warner Bros. Is releasing all of its movies in theaters and on VOD because everybody watched this thing. So it had to at least be popular. They all tuned in.
Wonder Woman 1984 killed cinema?
Yeah, at least it wasn't that Trolls movie that we initially tried to blame it on.
Oh yeah, that was forever ago.
Trolls World Tour, I think.
I'm Justin Timberlake and singing killed my mom, so I don't sing anymore or something. I don't know.
I think it's cool that I got to do a podcast with a couple of people who like the Silver Age wholesome superhero movies, and I really do think that is let's zoom out here. I think that's how DC kind of digs itself out of a hole, because you can't top Marvel with their fucking formula, their Joss Whedon movies. They're weird little quip and punch featurettes of the week,
At the bare minimum, you can't do it in 3 years like they tried to do.
Yeah.
The obvious answer was not to go darker and grittier. It was to rebel against that instinct and to go for more hopeful shit like this. Is that how DC can dig itself out of the hole?
Probably, but I want to say the MCU isn't exactly dark and gritty.
Yeah, I feel like it's the dynamic I always thought it as was Marvel MCU, very consistent. You know what you're going to get. You know you're not going to get anything awful. Sometimes you'll get something like really like amazing, but usually not that. Usually you're going to it's very reliable, very consistent. And then with the flip side of DC is sometimes it's going to be fucking awful. Sometimes it's going to be great though. And every time it's going to, at least with these last couple of movies, every time though it's going to be there. Each film is going to have its own personality, its own soul. It's going to you're kind of if you don't know what's going anything about other than it's a DC superhero movie, you're kind of taking a gamble, but it's going to be more interesting at the very least, I think.
Well, at least DC doesn't do that exploitative thing that you mentioned, where they take indie directors who can't, stand in the way of the steamroller.
Yeah.
And, use their bodies to convert something into clay, use them as a talisman to shine the light off of so they can open the Temple of Prophets once more.
I just want to say, I don't want to be Mr. Film Centrist here, but I just want to point out that Marvel doesn't do that anymore. As a matter of fact...
Wait.
As a matter of fact, with the Eternals movie they're coming up with, everyone points that that's a real indie director doing that movie. I just want to point out to everyone, they didn't go to that director. The director came to them.
Listen, I won't buy it until fucking Stanley Kubrick does a Marvel movie, you piece of shit. All right? If they're so fucking good, why don't they just get Stanley Kubrick? He's a big-eyed guy.
No, what they should do is get Martin Scorsese to do a Marvel movie.
Bring the meme back.
It'd be beautiful irony.
Would you watch this again?
Absolutely. I've already seen it multiple times.
I've only seen it once, but I'm down to see it again.
Is there somebody in your life that you would show this movie to for any reason, positive or negative?
My girlfriend. I was very happy when I found she also likes it, so maybe.
Man, what the fuck? Before I was happy for you, now I'm just jealous. I'm gonna come in there and beat your ass.
Tanner, what important person in your life are you gonna show Wonder Woman 1984 to? You're supposed to say me.
Oh, Austin.
Tanner, after we had our falling out over that whole boat thing, my family wasn't sure what was going on, and I didn't know what to tell them. So I hid at my friend's house all weekend and just watched Wonder Woman 1984. It really took up the whole time. Thank you. This really is the Satan Tango of superhero films.
Oh my god.
Oh god. Yeah, Rein, thank you so fucking much for coming on the podcast.
It was a lot of fun. I can't wait to. I'll invite me on for the Shazam one, like in a decade, whenever that gets finally recorded.
Yeah, we've been saying we're gonna do that with Joe Vernick for like a year now. Rein, is there anything you want to plug?
No. My name's Rein Conversey. Look up, Google me, and you might find stuff. I don't know. The end.
Don't you have a website?
It's not really. I just sort of dump stuff on there. I think like most Webster students, we just I have one, but only because I need one for professional development.
Otherwise, you don't pass.
Yeah.
I have a legit website, and I made it before ProDev.
All right, and we gotta go. Thank you so much for this has been the
Bomb Squad
podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I slid my ticket across the table and I said, "Sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl."